Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a StatFit video for the 2020 Tour Championship. Now, what do I cover in these StatFit videos? Well, basically I'll look at recent form dating back to 2013, and then I also look at swing stats for as long as I've collected the data for that particular tournament, and for this one, that goes back to 2018. So basically we'll look at the 2018 DK page, the 2019 DK page, wrap it all up with the recent form to try to find our best stat fits for this tournament. But before we get into that video, I want you guys to know two things. One, something wonky is happening with my camera. It's flickering every once in a while. I've kind of recorded this video a couple times and it got really bad at one point in time. So I think I'm good. I think I have the settings decent where we won't see it, but just fair warning. It might flicker, and I can't do anything about it, at least right now. Secondly, and probably way more importantly, I have collaborated on a spreadsheet with Chad Eckert from the Fantasy Golf Pod, and this is it. So what we want to do, provide a free spreadsheet for you guys to use. That's right, free. You can find a link for the spreadsheet in the description of this video, but if you're watching it on Twitter, you can also find it on our Twitter pages. So obviously my handle is up at the top left. Chad's DFS handle is the Fantasy Golf Pod. You can find that through my channel or through my Twitter, obviously. And then I believe he also has a personal Twitter called Edina Chi Realty. So you could go there as well. Just so you guys know. But anyways, what is on this spreadsheet? A lot of goodies, honestly, a lot of good stuff. So we have odds without scoring, starting score, the starting score. If you guys aren't aware, we have a staggered start based on the FedEx Cup playoffs. The number one seed is Dustin Johnson. He starts at 10 under par. You've probably heard this throughout the industry, but if you're living under a rock, I hope you're okay, first of all. But if you were living under a rock, and you just showed up to do this, yeah, we have basically handicaps right now for each player. DJ gets 10 under. Everyone else is slightly worse, and you can obviously see that on the spreadsheet. Just keep that in mind. We have the DK price. We have ownership projection percentage. Well, what we project the ownership to be. And then we have stats for tee to green, approach, and putting for the entire season. We also have it dating back 3 months ago, 3 months ago, I should say. And then also last week. So basically you can see who was hot last week, compare it to their overall, how well they're doing, or their overall stats. And, determine who's hot now, who just kind of follows their consistency. It's really for you guys to digest. Whatever you guys want to do with the data, it's entirely up to you guys. But then we also have the official world golf ranking. We have age, because we all know age matters. College and residence. Now, why is that important? Well, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. And if we were to regionalize each place that tournaments are played in, this obviously would be the Southeast. And typically in the Southeast, we're playing on Bermuda grass. If we have someone living here or who went to college here, I have a good feeling, and we've seen this. I mean, it's not a foolproof science, but for the most part, golfers in this type of area do well. So like Kevin Kisner, he was a Georgia alumni. I believe he comes from Georgia, if I recall. Let's look. Kevin Kisner, where are you? Right here. Comes from Aiken, South Carolina. My bad. I knew that. From South Carolina, but went to University of Georgia. Like, he's from this region. And he does well on Bermuda regardless. So like Bermuda's a grass he's decent at. That's why it matters, and that's why we have it. We also have, a plethora of notes on players, positive notes, negative notes, more notes. Best finish in Tour Championship, the largest come from behind win. And this is because obviously we have golfers starting out way behind the first place guy. And we want to see how well some of these golfers have been able to close the gap. Now, a lot of these are like from the last round of these tournaments, but still it's a good way to see this, because I believe JT, before he even started last year, maybe it wasn't, but his lead was gone by the time he finished. If that's the case, then the next day they kind of start at even, basically. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we have more notes. And then we have two tabs down here. One's named Fantasy Golf Pod. The other one is SweetSpotDFS. You can see that I have my bucket system on here. I have course history, recent form, overall Bermuda average, and then notes. I kind of have like a little write-up of each of the players here. And it's just kind of like the eye test for me, as well as looking at some of the stats and some of the trends, that kind of thing. But we'll get back to this later on in the video. But first, I want to look at all the recent form, and we'll start at 2019. What I want you guys to do, I'm going to go through this quick. I've done it a couple times. I know it's better, quicker. Keep an eye out for this column. You're going to see recent form. You're going to see it changes quite a bit. There are 2 years where really good recent form did well, but for the most part, on average, you're going to find kind of like this color combination you see up here. And this 2019 is the staggered start, so it still applies even for the staggered start. But you can see it's a wide range. We have a couple orange colors. What does that look like altogether? Well, we have Chez Reavie, part of the optimal lineup down here, 3rd worst recent form. And then we have Xander down here, who is the 6th worst recent form. Both of them finished inside the top 10, both of them on the optimal lineup. The other thing I want you guys to keep note of is look at the last week finishes as we go through this, just to see how many top 20s we see, how many 20 to 40s, how many 40 to 60s, and then course history. Just any population, basically, as we go through this. As we get closer to 2013, though, please keep in mind that the stats only go back to 2013. So if you see older names, most likely they played prior to 2013. I just don't have stats going past 2013. So it's not that they've played it the first time. Or that was the first time they played it. It's just that we don't have, or I don't have, I don't have course history going further back to 2013. Anyways, so here's your 2019. 2018 is one of those years where recent form, like good recent form, shows up at the top. So this doesn't really apply, but you can obviously see the course history here. Having some course history, obviously it's good course history because it's in green. You can see just having some course history mattered. And then good recent form did. Last week finish, pretty decent. 2017, though, we have just a wide range of different finishing positions. We have a 67th, a couple 47ths, a 30th, 33rd, I should say, and then a bunch of top 20s. Our first place guy had not played there prior to. So it's not that a rookie can't win. Obviously, it shows that a rookie can win. Then we also have John Rahm, Tony Finau, who have not played it either, or who did not play it prior to. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, wide range of recent form. Again, we can sort here, come down here. Russell Henley, 4th worst recent form in the optimal lineup. And I believe Kevin Kisner was the 8th worst recent form in the optimal lineup. So it's worth noting. Actually, why don't we do this? Let's go back to 2018 and see what it looked like for recent form. Well, Xander actually shows up as somebody in the optimal lineup, and he was 3rd worst recent form. And then there's Billy Horschel. Although we saw it was decent, it was good. It's this yellow color. Horschel was 7th worst recent form. So don't be alarmed by recent form. Having poor recent form. We kind of want a couple players that do have poor recent form. Going back to 2017, we can kind of see a little bit of the same thing. Obviously, let's do this. Sort. Russell Henley, once again, 3rd. Just want to make sure. Did I cover this already? Okay. Yeah. My bad. I just repeated myself. Let's go past 2017. We've already been there. Let's go to 2016. We can sort once again. Let's see down here at the bottom. Second worst recent form, Kevin Chappell, second place. JT with the fifth worst, finished sixth. So we're kind of seeing a trend that way. We might want to find golfers that have poor recent form, or at least two of them. But yeah, last week finishing position doesn't really so much matter. And obviously here, I guarantee Ryan Moore has played in the Tour Championship before. I also believe Kevin Chappell has played in the Tour Championship prior to. So these really aren't rookies that are here at the top. But I believe JT would be a rookie, and so would these two golfers. So keep that in mind. But yeah, course history would matter. 2015 looks like this is another year where cream rises to the top, but let's just test it and sort it. Yeah, so Jordan Spieth wins it, and he had the 10th worst recent form, but nothing, better than that. So he was at the bottom third. I guess we could look at it that way. And again, he won the tournament. 2014, we don't have any course history, but we can look at recent form. Again, I did not mean to do that. We already have a tab for this. NTC stands for Northern Trust Championship, what it once was called. It's obviously just the Northern Trust now. But scrolling down here, we have a fourth place finish who is the sixth worst recent form, a fourth, which was the eighth worst recent form, and a first, who was the 10th worst recent form. So recent form matters for nearly 4 of your golfers. But for the other 2, let's try to find someone that is kind of in the bottom. So let's take a look at who that might be. So when we do sort this, now we see Bryson, who's at 10,000. And then we see a plethora of golfers here, most of them in the 5K range. We do see a 7, a 6, 2 7s actually, and a 6. Here's the golfer that I like the most in this range. It is Kevin Na. And primarily because if you look at these 3 numbers here, recent form average, BMW, Northern Trust. If we go to 2019, find Chez Reavie in that 5K range, he's got a 50, 57, 38. So basically it's orange, orange, yellow. We have orange, orange, yellow. Now, that's a trend. That's not something to, I would not die on that hill. Definitely do not set yourself up that way. I just like it because a lot of people aren't talking about him. And in his salary range, if we look, Kevin Na is sandwiched between a lot of people's favorites. Like Mackenzie Hughes is getting touted a lot. Billy Horschel's getting touted a lot, as is Sebastian Munoz and Lanto Griffin. So really, Kevin Na, I guarantee is going to be one of the lowest owned. And I don't care about ownership, but the trend is showing me to play him. I kind of want to play him regardless, and I'm going to get that benefit of him being low owned. So it kind of works both ways. Now, if there was someone else that was very similar, it would be Cameron Smith to me, primarily because Northern Trust, each of these golfers, Chez Reavie from last year, Kevin Na this year, and even Cameron Smith, had a better finish at the Northern Trust than they did at the BMW. And then they also obviously had this recent form range as Chez Reavie, I should say. So obviously, it gets worse. Recent form's not great. I anticipate one of these 2 golfers finishing inside the top 10. And if that's the case, Kevin Na is starting at -1 and Cameron Smith is starting at even par. If they finish inside the top 10, I'm thinking they're shooting somewhere around 7 under, 6 or 7 under. That's going to win. That's going to be in the optimal lineup more often than not. So that's kind of my take on it. I like that quite a bit. It's probably a little too long to talk about golfers that are at the bottom of the recent form, but I just wanted to mention it. Looking at the top, really, if we looked at 2019, because that's really the only thing we can kind of go off of, we have to consider price into recent form. Your first, second, and third had last year finishes, all 7th place finishes, but really it's top 10, right? If we look up here, we want to find golfers that have that top 10. So like Rory, JT, Hideki, Xander, Tony, Patrick Reed. I think we could probably pick 2 or 3. And if we go back, does it really matter? I mean, sure. Yeah, we do have 3 inside the top 10 there. Only 2 in 2017. A couple here. 2015, just 1. I suppose 2, but I'm not counting 10th place. I don't know if we can even go there. 2 in 2014. Obviously 2013 we're not going to have, but maybe we find 2 golfers out of these guys. And if we do like Kevin Kisner, which I do like this week, yeah, maybe it's a Kisner and 1 or 2 of these other guys. You know, like this would be a player pool if I were to create one. It's your choice between JT, Rory, Hideki, Xander, Reed, and Finau, and Kevin Kisner. You can only pick 2 golfers out of that. Like, I like looking at it that way. That way, it eliminates a lot of golfers that it eliminates some of these golfers from your player pool, which is good. That's kind of what you want to do. You want to make your lineups. I can't think of the right word, but like you want to make them drastic. You know, you obviously don't want it to be the same as everyone else, but if you follow those rules, maybe no one else is kind of living by them. No one's creating lineups based off of that. Let's see. I liked Kevin Kisner. Why do I like Kevin Kisner? Can we find a trend for Kevin Kisner? 6,800. Do we see that in 2019 of the 6K guy? I think there was one. Well, it's Kevin Kisner. Does that line up nearly the same? Sort of. 25th and a 4th. 9th and a 12th. 19.5. 26.83. A 9th place finish the year before. Did not play, but obviously good course history. So it's similar. It's very close. 26 versus 19. 25 versus 9. Okay, that's a little bit better. So he goes from worse to better. He goes from better to worse. I mean, I still like Kevin Kisner. Or do we have anyone in the 6K range that like represents Kevin Kisner? So did not play, 9th, 12th, and then 19.5. Scotty Scheffler, he's not there though. That's 7-9. Not even close. Sebastian Munoz, maybe? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. I'm not going to spend too much. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. But either way, kind of gave you a good starting point. Keep it in mind. Let's go ahead and get into the swing stats. So I'm going to use, we're going to first look at 2018. We're just going to look at the swing stats. What was, better, or what was the best one, or basically how often, put it this way. We're going to sort through each stat. Sorry. For whatever reason, can't get it out of my mouth, but we're going to sort by each stat and then see what the finishing position was, based off of that stat. So in 2018, I have it by ranks. So this is ranks for the PGA season. But obviously a good rank here at the top means that it was a good rank in the field. So this is sorted by top to bottom in the field. So tee to green, we have a 3rd place at the top, 7th, 4th. Like you can see, we kind of want to just focus on the top 5 finishes. So we have 3, up there. That's a good sign. Off the tee, we have 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Tee to green, just a little bit better. Approach. There we go. We have our 1st place guy, 3rd place guy, 4th place guy. So approach, probably pretty good. How about around the green? Does that matter at all? 4th, 1st, 4th. Just as good as approach. Obviously Kevin, jeez. I don't know why I saw, Kevin up. Tiger, obviously, being good tee to green. I'm sorry, good at approach and good around the green. So these were his 2 stats. Now, he's the only person that has stats like that, where it's approach and around the green. And that's Tiger, right? That's what he's been known for forever. But either way, around the green for these other guys. So what? Justin Rose had decent off the tee, but overall good tee to green. Tee to green with around the green. Rory, I suppose, same thing. Fleetwood, pretty good. So, hey, man, that might be something. Looking at tee to green as well as around the green. Let me go ahead and hide this information right here. We can look at putting. I don't think putting is going to really matter. We do have two guys, actually. Well, we have plenty more inside the top 5 for putting. That might be something worth looking at. Green and reg, Billy Ho, Dustin Johnson, Justin Rose. Not really the greatest stat, green and reg. How about proximity? Proximity shows up. You have your third and first place guy. Now, I don't know if you can really put a lineup with those guys together, but it's doable. Birdie or better. Sure, we have 2 guys at the top. That's it, though. For top 5 finishes, that is. So I think really a combination of tee to green and approach, or tee to green and around the green, seem to matter, as well as putting, right? So what did Billy Horschel have? Putting, let's see, Rose and Simpson. So these guys had good around the green stats. Simpson did not have good off the tee or tee to green, but Rose did. And Horschel had good off the tee. So it was all over the place. No idea what to make of that. Probably nothing, really. So I think it's whatever statistic that you like, whatever swing stat you want to go off of. Totally, entirely up to you, obviously. Let's go by result. I mean, you can see Tiger was not good off the tee. Neither was Simpson. And neither was Matsuyama at the time. But for the most part, off the tee was okay. Not terrible. I mean, your high price guys, that's what we really should look at. Look at your high price guys. Horschel's really the only guy that you'd really want to play just based off of price and where their around our off the tee stats were. Yeah, I'm not gonna really dig deeper into it. I don't see one stat except for tee to green. Tee to green is really the only stat I see. I guess birdie or better. Simpson didn't show up, and neither did Billy Horschel, really. But Billy Horschel's is not bad. But yeah, you see a bunch of guys here at top 20, birdie or better, tee to green, and then it just mixes the rest of the stats. Let's go ahead and look at 2019. We're going to come back and visit this and look at top 10 stats, like your leaders and top 10 stats. So we will come back and take a look at that. 2019. So this is where the staggered start is. And obviously we can see the score. We're not going to talk about it in this video. I'll talk about it in the DFS strategy video. But just going off of swing stats, we can go ahead, hide all of this information right here. And just cover the swing stats. I'm also going to hide some of these other columns that I never talk about. But it's just kind of it's just to view later on. Like I would want to look at these stats for next year's tournament to see, does the amount of birdies matter or the amount of attempts matter, with some of these guys that do well. So that's basically what I have. But as we look here, tee to green. So we have it by result. Let's go ahead, top to bottom, tee to green. Rory was your top guy, followed by Justin Thomas, and you can see the leaderboard up here. We have first. Really, what we want is this set. That's right. So I didn't download a DK page from 2019, so I don't have salaries. Unfortunately, well, I do have salaries. I have them in the 2019. I should have included them. But I don't have them. I can tell you this. Paul Casey was $7,500. Do I not have salary for real? Oh, okay, I do have salary. Man, it's like, what? Why wouldn't I have included it? Okay, so we have salary. Thank God. Anyways, recent form. Tee to green with salaries included. Top 3 guys with, well, Rory wasn't a top 3 salary guy, but Cantlay and Thomas, top salary guys, top tee to green. Only one finished 3rd, and he wasn't even in the optimal lineup. So you wouldn't even have wanted to care about Justin Thomas. But I mean, Adam Scott, 8,200, not terrible. Matsuyama, 9,300, not terrible as well. Casey at 75, pretty good. Into some expensive players. Tommy Fleetwood wouldn't have done well enough. Xander, though, obviously you needed Xander for the optimal lineup. So Xander was your 13th ranked tee to green golfer. So really, 2019 didn't have a lot of golfers inside, tee to green that you could have played. Off the tee, Rory up at the top once again. You can see how many top 5 finishes that we see. I would say this, combine it with, their starting score, their playing score, and see if it even matters. Like Brooks Koepka, 6 under, perfect. Xander, 10 under, that's good. Casey at 7 under, that's good. And Rory at 13, obviously. He won, so super good. Rahm played even par. So it's not that off the tee is, it is what it is. Like I don't see any real tell as to why these golfers did better than the rest of the ones that are in that range. Just based off of salary or even say bucket combination. So not gonna spend a lot of time. I spent way too much time. But here are your approach numbers. Approach was pretty good. I mean, it's really difficult to go through swing stats and try to put, like a ranking on what is the best stat with the staggered start. It's difficult. Around the green, I guess what I'm trying to look at is finding, a golfer that has a good finishing score, obviously a good result, good playing score, and a cheap price, but that's difficult to do. That's why I think trying to go by swing stats is difficult, because obviously I'm sorting these from best to worst, and none of them, like, we're not seeing first, second, third, just boom, boom, boom. Like tee to green obviously is a stat that we know is a good stat. Do we go with this? Like Rory at 10-6, obviously he was in the optimal lineup. That works. Paul Casey at 7,500. Maybe that's how we do something in 2020. We'll look at that when we get there. Around the green, did that matter? Not really. Putting, do we see any guys that we needed? I mean, Rory's actually up there. Surprise, surprise. Kisner's up there. He would have been a good play regardless. He wasn't on the optimal lineup, but you could have replaced him with like Reavie, I think, or who was it? I wonder if he outscored Finau, and I just don't have that. What did Finau shoot? 400? No, he wouldn't have. Anyways, so putting, no. Green and reg, sure, but not really. That doesn't pop out. Proximity, there we have Reavie. He was a guy that we want, so maybe we can find proximity with, a 5K golfer. That's actually not a terrible idea. Same with 7,500. Birdie or better? Adam Scott was in the optimal lineup, so someone at 8K who's in the top 7? Sure. Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's so hard to say that a stat matters when you already know some of these guys had such a big start. Like we're trying to look at the playing score that matches up with their swing stats. Very difficult. Let's go ahead and just look at swing stats for this year. So the first thing that I want to do, I don't mind that. We'll hide this information all the way to odds. Yeah. So we can just talk about swing stats. Sure. So let's go to proximity like right away. That was one that we're trying to find a 5K golfer. You know, we're hoping like someone like Kevin Na fits that mold of Chez Reavie from last year. So proximity, do we have a 5K golfer up here? No. Ryan Palmer. Ryan Palmer is what, the 9th? Chez Reavie. I don't know if we're going to. I mean, what else is Chez Reavie good at? He just had positive stats. The only thing he didn't have positive stats were around the green. 22.98% birdie or better. I'm really just trying to search for Chez Reavie right now. I mean, that birdie or better, we can find that same thing here. All positive stats. We see a lot of positive stats. Cameron Champ, not so much. Mac Hughes, not so much. Cam Smith, not so much. Same with Leishman. I mean, Kevin Na has all positive stats except for off the tee. That might not be the greatest. 0.1574 tee to green. Does that match? I'm just hoping that matches Chez Reavie. So 0.684 tee to green. What else? 22.98, 0.6. Munoz 0.6. 22.92. Is it Munoz? I don't know, but I'm not going to worry too much about it, honestly. I still think it's Kevin Na. It's just obviously that whole fit doesn't matter. I'm spending too much time on this. Okay. Anyways, let's go tee to green. Starting at the top. Tony Finau kind of pops out right away as a good play. Same with Daniel Berger. And then maybe our 7K guy that's kind of like Paul Casey is either of these two golfers. Does that work? $75, $84, $93, $82. I mean, we're really looking at this guy, and this guy. So $75, $82, $10.6. I mean, we've got Morikawa, 10.4, 8.2. What was the other one? 7.5. Maybe Scheffler. Do the buckets match up? 2.3, 1.1, 4.2. Not so much. Tony Finau's a 4.1. Scheffler's a 1.2. So is Colin Morikawa. Who knows? All right, I'm just gonna fly through this. Off the tee, Cam Champ is up there, 5,300. I'm not too worried about that though. Approach is a stat that I probably care a little bit more about. You see Joaquin Niemann up there. Probably gonna pass on that. Not that big of a deal to me. Around the green, 52, Mac Hughes. I think around the green was bad for Chez Reavie last year, right? If we're trying to find the Chez Reavie, I'm going a little too much into this Chez Reavie narrative. Yeah, around the green was negative. Well, if it was negative, who in the 5K range down here matches that? Really, nobody. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with the Chez Reavie. Sorry. Putting. Kevin Na's up there. Putting was a stat that we kind of looked at that worked for both years. So, it's possible. Green Reg. Tyrrell Hatton. Tony Finau shows up. Green Reg wasn't that big of a deal. Neither was proximity. I mean, obviously we did find Chez Reavie, so maybe Joaquin Niemann showing up again does something. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. And then birdie or better. So here are all your guys' top stats. I calculated that over here on the left side of the most golfers with the most top 10 stats. Simpson and JT, 10 and 10 each. And then DJ, Jon Rahm at 9, and you can see the rest. Go to 2019 and sort this way. Now, here's what I want you guys to look at is their placement, their finishing places. We have Rory first with 9. He's the second most on here. And then fifth was Paul Casey. I shouldn't say fifth. Well, he finished fifth, but he had 7 top 10 stats. Adam Scott's right underneath him with 6 top 10 stats. And then really we don't see anyone else that was in the optimal lineup. And again, the optimal lineup were these golfers here. Finau at 88, Scott at 82, Casey at 75, Reavie at 51. And then obviously the top 2. So I don't see Finau up here. So Finau's right here with 2. So here are your guys that made the optimal lineup. 9762. How about 2018? We go top to bottom. You can see their finishing place here. I don't know what the optimal lineup was for this one, but obviously Tiger finishing first at 95. We probably need a DJ, most likely at 3rd. He had 9. And I mean, Finau probably again. No. Billy Horschel for sure. That's 73. And then probably someone in the 8K range that finished decent. Webb, 75. So 9533, 9762. Do we start with someone at 9? Go 9, 7, 5s maybe. $7,500 is showing up a bunch. We don't have a 7,500, but we have 79 or 7. Both starting at 2 under. Maybe do something like this. And then maybe someone down here. Maybe a Kevin Kisner. Or maybe a Tony Finau. Maybe we get rid of this one and go 89, 82, 68, 15-2. Can we do something like that? Maybe, maybe not. Anyways, that is all I'm going to do with that. Let's go ahead and look at this spreadsheet. Man, we're at 40 minutes. That's crazy. So basically what you could do, I think you guys have access to the filter, but if not, we can take a look here. We can see who has the most tee to green stats for the entire season. This is accumulation. Justin Thomas, Xander, Colin Morikawa, Hideki Matsuyama, Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy. Those are your top guys. How about for the last 3 months, tee to green? JT stays up there. Jon Rahm, DJ, Victor, Xander drops a little bit. Daniel Berger and Morikawa drops a little bit. How about last week? We have Niemann at 8.9, Matsuyama at 8.7. So really, he's probably the most consistent one out of the bunch. DJ at 8.4, Sebastian Munoz at 7.7, and Jon Rahm at 7.4. and it drops a little bit to like 4.6. How about approach stats on the season? Morikawa at the top, no surprise. Accuracy guy, 50.6. JT at 48.8. Hideki at 40.1. Neiman, 31. Daniel Berger, 30.5. I mean, JT and Hideki are by far the tops in this. But the last 3 months, JT's at the top. Matsuyama drops down to 9th. But Morikawa then pops up a little bit. So, yeah, it's interesting. How about last week? DJ obviously at the top. Then Neiman, Rahm, Griffin, Horschel, Scheffler, Hughes, Kisner. Not much that we can really tell by that. 2020 season putting, Mackenzie Hughes at the top. No surprise. Followed by Patrick Reed, Bryson DeChambeau, Kevin Kisner, Billy Horschel, Daniel Berger, Harris English, Webb Simpson. Last 3 months for putting, Mackenzie Hughes at the top, then Kevin Kisner, Bryson, Billy Horschel, Harris English. So same culprits. And last week we see Brendan Todd, Tony Finau, believe it or not. So that 5th place finish he had last week, basically off of putting. I don't know how I feel about that. Bryson, so he's still at the top. His putting, he's been proving he's a good putter. Rahm shows up. That's kind of a little out. I mean, considering that the last 3 months he's only gained 5 strokes putting, it's not good. So 5 strokes gained. You add 3.9 from last week into that number. So prior to last week, he'd been putting pretty poorly. Abraham Answer, Dustin Johnson, and he's just, I guess if anything in the last 3 months, he's been picking up with his putter. So that actually might be a good sign. But yeah, those are all the stats that I'm going to use out of this spreadsheet that we are providing for you guys for free. So please take a look at it. Let us know what you think about it. We would love feedback. Negative, positive, does not matter. Tweet us, leave a comment. In this video, leave a comment in the Fantasy Golf Pod video. They do videos every Tuesday night, basically. I think, obviously, they did one tonight, so it's Wednesday. Yeah, please let us know how it goes. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I will see you in a DFS strategy video tomorrow. All right, see you later.